My name is Daryl Kwawu. Great to have you on the marketplace. First up, officials from the Ministry of Finance have been meeting with the Chamber of Corporate Trustees and the Ghana Individual Bondholders Forum as government considers a new debt restructuring offer that may affect pension funds. The Finance Ministry has asked that the Chamber of Corporate Trustees obtains the approval of contributors for the new offer. Now, government is proposing a 5% payment of coupons in cash for 2023 and 2024, with the remainder capitalized as two bonds. Already, some labor unions have threatened a showdown with pension managers if they consider the new debt restructuring proposal put forward by the Finance Minister. Joining us to make sense of this is Associate Professor of Finance at the Andrews University, Williams Pippa. I appreciate your time with us this afternoon. So what's your understanding of this offer being put forward by government, and why is there a need for a new debt restructuring offer at this time?
Good afternoon, Daryl, and thank you for calling me. Also, good afternoon to your viewers. We must admit that the government has indicated that he is facing a lot of financial challenges. So let me put it in finance terms, liquidity challenges. Government's ability to raise the needed funds to pay for these bonds when they are due is becoming a problem. They were the reasons why we saw the downgrading of our bonds. The defaults are becoming too many. We are already aware that some bonds which are due to be paid to pension fund holders, those who decided to stay out of the debt exchange, has not been paid. So in view of that is what I'm sure government is making a proposition to pension fund bondholders to accept a new restructuring of their bonds. And what I notice government is trying to do is that based on the document government issued out, government's aim is to make sure that the net present value of the current bonds in the hands of pensioners are not affected. The net present value in the hands of pensioners is about 21% when they are due in the next 5 years. So government did not has structured their proposal in a way to be able to achieve that net present value. However, when it comes to the repayment in terms of making half-year payments to the bondholders, that is where government has made a change to make way for their liquidity challenges. The government is proposing that if you are holding certain bonds like the Treasury bonds, ESLA bonds, and the Dachi bonds, they are going to pay you with 8.4% in terms of coupon, and then also pay you a cash of 10% upfront, which is virtually the same as the 18.5% on their existing coupon payment. But it will give government a breathing space in terms of making the coupon payment. So the coupon payment is the interest payment. The current challenge we are facing is that the interest payment in government planning is what is bringing these losses, high losses. Let me put it in accounting terms. That's making us exceed our expenditure. So the government is trying to reduce the interest payment, and that is why government is making that proposal to the pension fund holders. Right. Let me give an advice. The pension fund holders, all that they need to do in finance, there are two instruments which are very important, or calculation. Government did not change the duration of the bonds. They are still 5 years. So in terms of what we term as duration, it is 5 years. But then the critical part is if interest rate in the market changes, what will be the impact on their bonds? That is the most important one, the sensitivity. So they must have to do a calculation, we call it immunization, to be able to make sure that the liabilities they are in hands of government will be able to match the asset that they have. So this is my advice. If we do that calculation and it's okay, then it means that they are better off accepting government offer.
All right, so Prof, is the offer the government putting forward a good deal? Already we've seen that organized labor is pushing against it, which is much expected because they don't want their pension funds touched.
So the most important thing that pension fund bondholders should be concerned with, will the net present value of their bonds at maturity reduces based on this offer? The answer is no. The current bonds you are holding, the net present value at maturity in the next 5 years is 21.5%. Government proposal of this one is still 21.5%. So the net present value, if all of them hold their bonds to maturity, they will not suffer any loss. But in between time, if they want to sell some of them for cash, then they will take a haircut. So that is the trick. So all those holding pension fund bond, government is trying to tell you that hold your bond to maturity in the next 5 years, and then you will not have any major impact on the net present value of your fund.
And so right now, as we speak, the managers, the Chamber of Corporate Trustees has a meeting with the Finance Ministry over this. How do they go around this, seeing that they have to also protect the interests of pension fund holders? Should they sign on to this? What should be the engagement?
So the challenge is that the pension fund holders must find out from now up to 2028 how much of that amount will be needed to pay off people who will be going on retirement. That is the cash flow they need from now to the end of 2028 that government is proposing. If they're able to ascertain that, and government can assure them that the coupon payments and the 10% cash we are going to pay you will be able to cover that need of the pension fund holders, then there is no cause for alarm. But if the coupon payment government will pay to the bondholders, which is the 8.5%, and the 10% cash that government is proposing, will not be able to cover all those who will need their funds from now to 2028. That is where the problem will come in. Then it will force the fund managers to take a haircut on some investment, and that is what they are trying to prevent. So government may have to make sure that the coupon that they want to pay to the pension fund holders will be able to meet those who will be retiring from now to 2028.
All right. And the Ministry of Finance has indicated that it's facing major challenges with liquidity. You pointed that out to service the obligations of individual bondholders. They've been meeting as well. What we are hearing that in response to the Ministry of Finance request for suggestions to address the challenges, the Individual Bondholders Forum recommended the consideration of T-bills as payment of principal payments and coupons to be paid cash. So you think that's a good way to go around that? Your thoughts?
That was part of the options. If you remember, government did that for some investors in the Fed debt exchange program. It's good where it's also going to reduce the cash flow burden on government if this offer is accepted. The only caveat is that what to be the tenor of these conversion or swap from bonds to treasury bill. Is it going to be 2 years treasury bill bond or 360 days treasury bill bond? That is where the discussion will have to be. Also, we notice that currently the TB rate is a little bit higher than the coupon payment on the bonds. And in that case, the pension funds holders will benefit. So in this direction, I mean, it is good, and it will still create room for government to have a reduction in the interest payment on the books. The ultimate that we want is how to be able to reduce the interest cost on government bills.
Okay. We are told that the Pensioner Bondholders Forum have rejected this as well, but discussions are still ongoing, so we'll keep monitoring. Thank you so much, Professor Williams Pepra, Associate Professor of Finance at the Andrews University, for speaking with us this afternoon. You're watching The Marketplace. Let's move on to other stories. Government statistician Professor Samuel Kobnenim is advising policymakers to focus attention on key sectors that can contribute to the country's economic growth but failing to perform. According to him, this is very critical in order to measure the level of success the country is achieving as a result of the policy measures being introduced. Speaking to journalists after the release of the annual growth rate for the year 2022, Professor Nim said more attention must be given to subsectors in manufacturing and services that recorded no growth.
What I'm not too sure about is whether the government is putting in policies in agriculture with a mindset that I want agriculture to contribute more to industry or to contribute more to services. The policy document would have targets, and the key question is whether we are meeting our target. We always need to be careful about the shares. The shares are simply saying that put all the three together and see which of the three is contributing more. It doesn't mean that the least of the three is not performing, and it doesn't mean that the least is not reaching government targets. So let's put that in context. What is worrying is that within the industry sector, we've identified 6 subsectors, and within manufacturing sector alone, we can identify a lot more subsectors. And as you clearly saw from the presentation, within the industry sector, we see some of them expanding. Gold, for instance, is expanding, and the other subsectors within industry, of which manufacturing is a broad component, is also are contracting. If you look within manufacturing, which you're going to find about another 22 subsectors within manufacturing only, you're going to see some of the manufacturing subsectors expanding and others contracting. That is why we always say that let's pay attention to the disaggregates rather than the aggregates. So the industry players should focus on the 22 subsectors within manufacturing or the 6 subsectors within the industry, look at government policy and say whether we are meeting government policy or otherwise.
Well, data from the Ghana Statistical Services shows industry barely contributed 1% to economic growth in 2022 behind services and the agri sectors. Joining me to discuss is Mark Bedu-Abuaje, who is Chief Executive of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Good afternoon to you, sir. So this is not an impressive performance from industry, and it was expected, wasn't it? You're muted.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
I can, loud and clear.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay. Thanks once again. I said, even though it's a worrying phenomenon, it was actually to be expected, looking at the challenges that businesses went through in 2022. Of course, the cost of doing business plays a very critical role in determining how well that sector performs. And you realize that the cost of doing business went up significantly in 2022. If you look at data from the Ghana Statistical Service, the industrial inflation, the industrial producer price inflation went up as high as 94.3% in November 2022. And this definitely means that businesses are paying more just to produce the list that they were producing. All the factors contributed negatively towards this group, and I'm not surprised that within the industrial sector, all the other sectors contracted with the exception of the mining, the inquiry with the manufacturing sector contracting by 2%. I mean, a number of factors could be attributed to this. For instance, if you take the depreciation of the cedi, for instance, it affected those who were importing raw materials for manufacturing. It means they couldn't get more cedi to import or dollar to import, so that they'll have to downsize and reduce their production level. The cost of electricity and water also plays a very critical role when it comes to manufacturing, and you realize that it also went up. So the businesses now have to react to cost and its impact their production. And of course, if you look at the interest rate, which also plays a very critical role, policy rate went up, and of course, the interest rate was ranging around 35 to 45%. If you look at Bank of Ghana's data on the loans to the private sector, you realize that the real loans or credit to the private sector went down significantly, which means that businesses were not even able to borrow. to reinvest into their businesses. And of course, looking at what the country went through, the downgrading, those who would have in any way would have invested, external invested in the local industry, were also sitting on the fence looking at what will happen. So all these things, and additionally, of course, whenever you are producing, you are looking that people will buy that product. 2022, because of inflation as high as over the 50s, the purchasing power of a lot of Ghanaians went down. So people were not demanding, people were not buying. And so if the people were not demanding, there was no need for any businesses to produce because the thing will be in the market. As people buy, demand goes up. You are stimulated to produce more for people to buy. So demand also actually went down. And then also export. You were exporting some of these manufactured goods to other countries. Our cost of production went up and became very uncompetitive. So we send the goods to the other countries and the demand was not there. So export also went down significantly. Putting all these things together, obviously you expect that the contribution or the growth of the industry sector will go down as compared to agric, which grew by I think 4.2%, and the services 5.5%. Industry did not actually perform well. But it's a very big concern, and all of us should be worried because the industry sector should be the main driver for economy. We are seeking to change the structure of economy from an import-led to an export-led. You can only export more when you manufacture. You add value to your raw materials, which means that our so-called changing the structure of the economy has not really yielded any positive results. If industry and the manufacturing sector is contracting, that if you want to resolve the issue with unemployment, we should focus our policies on growing the manufacturing sector. The manufacturing sector has a long value chain from those who are, producing the raw materials up to those who are manufacturing and those who are selling the product. Long value chain. So within the value chain, there are a lot of nodes that can employ a lot of people. So anytime the manufacturing sector is going down, we should expect that unemployment will also go down. Of course, the mining and quarrying went up, but these are enclave industries that usually employ specific people with specific skills. So usually you won't see a lot of people being employed in those sectors, but the manufacturing sector employs so many people. So we should be concerned and our policies should be directed towards empowering the manufacturing sector.
Well, speak of policies, I mean, the government touts its industrialization agenda, but I'm wondering, is there a clear-cut policy for growing industry that we know of?
Well, I think we have had industrial policies. Our challenge has been the implementation of these policies, and not that we don't have them. If you look at the Ghana Private Sector Development Strategy 1 and 2, my brother, go and check. Or if you are able to even implement just 30% to 50% of what is in that document, we're moving our industry sector to.
But why is it difficult to implement?
The one district, one factory. That is my challenge. That's what we are all talking about. We should move from being a political document to a document that is developmental in nature. If you look at all their manifestos, they have policies for industry. Go and check the level of implementation of this policy. It becomes too political. Let's do what we have written. If other countries come, they pick our policies, they go and implement, and they're able to grow. And we are here, we develop very good policies, and we don't implement them. This is the reason why they should engage the players in the private sector more, so that we will be able to advise and also offer some level of recommendations on how they can implement some of these policies. And of course, we've made our point clear when it comes to this taxation. If you don't change what we are doing in our policies towards the private sector and the manufacturing sector, we are likely to see a further contraction of that sector.
And
this
makes me wonder,
also not help.
Because there's plenty talk about the high cost of doing business, and with the introduction of these new tax measures, it's going to get more expensive. So then you wonder, where's the commitment to growing industries?
Yes, of course. I think we have made our point clear that these taxes are counterproductive. And for me, I'm worried because you don't introduce two counterproductive taxes at the same time. The growth and sustainability levy is counterproductive, it's inimical, it's not going to help businesses. And then also the excise duty is also not going to help. This will further increase the cost of production. Nothing has really changed if you look at from last year, the macroeconomic variables. Even though we have seen some level of improvement regarding inflation, the cedi is still very weak. The utility prices are still there. And all these challenges are feeding into...
Your lights just went off. Mark Bedu Abuaje, I think is frozen there. Probably his lights are off. But speaking on industry and its performance based on the 2022 GDP estimates released by the Ghana Statistical Service. And while Agric did pretty well, I mean, recovering from the numbers or the figures that we saw during the era of the COVID-19 pandemic, but there are still challenges such as post-harvest losses. So I want to take you to the central region where farmers in the Komenda Edina Eguafu district are being impacted by the lack of a ready market for their farm produce. According to them, this is leading to an increase in post-harvest losses. James Eshan was there and reports.
All over the world, farmers, commodity traders, and aggregators are experiencing post-harvest losses in various ways along the value chain. This calls for global concerns as the impact of post-harvest losses greatly affect each one of us in diverse ways. In Ghana, the story is no different. In one of my visits to some farms in the Komenda Edina Eguafu district in the central region of Ghana, I engaged some farmers. It was a Tuesday morning. These women had to move their farm produce to a nearby town called Bepos in the western region. It was a market day. They walked for several kilometers while transporting their produce from their farms. Finally, they are waiting for buyers in Bepos. Cassava is what Mame Mansa sells, and she has been at the market for close to 3 hours. The buyers come and leave without purchasing. She tells me that the buyers leave with various excuses.
Trading activities is not consistent. Some of the buyers say they do not get any profit after buying the cassava. It's not our fault because things are expensive and we need to increase the prices of cassava we sell here. As a result, when they do not buy, we end up losing everything, or better still use it for kukunte. During bumper harvest, a bucket of cassava is sold at 100 cedis or 80 cedis. The kukunte is sold for 15 or 20 cedis.
The situation is same for Mami Kuba. Due to the high cost of her garden eggs, the customers frequently complain to her. She explains she had to do this in order to make some money off what she sells.
The buyers are always unhappy because of how we sell the garden eggs. I can't do anything about it because if I try adjusting the prices, I will end up running at a loss.
Along this value chain is harvesting, drying, shelling, bagging, transportation, storage, among others. As the crop or farm produce goes through these stages without appropriate measures, the farm produce can reduce in quantity and quality. These women explained to me that it will take 2 or 3 days for their farm produce to get rotten due to little or no knowledge on how to preserve their produce and other factors.
We harvest the garden eggs on Thursday. We bring it to the market on Friday. We have a way of preserving it, but we sometimes have some of it rotten, which means you've lost some amount of money. The cassava begins to rot within just 2 days of harvest because of lack of ready market.
Just 2 days, but now up to. In the Voice's new letter written in 2006, it was estimated that many countries in Africa experience 25% in post-harvest loss of total cereal crops harvested. Also, according to a 2016 study, Ghana lost about 318,514 tons of maize annually to post-harvest losses, and this makes up 18% of the total stock of maize produced in Ghana. According to Paul, a peasant farmer, the outlook of post-harvest losses in Ghana does not look good for the sector.
It takes a lot. If you're starting your production, you don't get any loan from anywhere. And so even getting money to start. And these days, because of the nature of our farming, we don't want to do like the traditional way. We also want to take it like in a modern form. And so with these pineapples, these days we plant it on this plastic mulch. And one big challenge is, as at the time I will be ready like to convey the load from here to the roadside, I won't get any car.
James Ishan bringing us that report from the Central Region. More news, as always, on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. COVID-19 and Russia-Ukraine war are not only contributors to Ghana's economic woes. That's according to Fish Solutions. Established a currency bottle limit BOG led into government. That's according to the IA. You can read more on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Daryl Kwawu. Thanks for watching The Marketplace.